Have you ever wondered what separates the best poker players from the rest? Is it natural talent, skill, or something more? In today's video, we're diving deep into the top performance habits that high stakes players have honed and developed to get an edge on the competition. You'll be learning how to apply these tools into your life to elevate your game to the next level. My name's Adam Carmichael. I'm a mindset performance coach, and for the past 7 years, I've been working with poker players around the world and teaching them how to unlock the next level of performance. I also co-host the Mechanics of Poker podcast with The Wacko, where we interview the best players in the world and deconstruct what it really takes to make it to the top of the game. Although everyone has a unique journey, there are some very key skills that many of the best players have developed in order to get ahead, which I want to share with you in today's video. In this video, I'll be breaking down what each of the top 5 performance habits are, why they are important for you on your poker journey, which of the best players in the game are using them, and how you can apply them to take your game to the next level. Number 1, self-awareness and creating your own path. The best players have a high level of self-awareness. Self-awareness is the practice of self-reflection in order to get to know yourself on a deeper level. It's learning to become conscious of your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors and how they align with your long-term goals. As a poker player, this is one of the most important skills you can develop. On a zoomed out macro level, it allows you to channel your efforts into creating a path that is meaningful for you. On a zoomed in micro level, it allows you to observe yourself and make changes to things that aren't creating the outcomes that you want. Let's look at some examples of how top players have used self-awareness to create their own unique path in poker. First, there's high-stakes cash game crusher Viktor Kudinov. He noticed through self-awareness that he didn't enjoy bum hunting or playing in soft lineups. Although most advice people give to make money in poker is to find soft games, Victor found that his biggest strength is playing high volume in tough lineups, battling long hours against the best players in the game. This might be suicide for a lot of players, but for Victor, this is what makes him feel alive and brings out his best poker. Then there is mid-stakes legend Mr. Bilderman, who is one of the highest volume online cash game players over the last 10 years. As his friends and roommates went on to play the nosebleeds, 10k NL plus, he decided not to follow their path. Instead, he played to his own strengths, which is his ability to play unbelievably high volume. He went on to create financial freedom for himself, playing no higher than 1Ks and making more money than most of the players playing way higher. Then you have Yuri Peleg of Gorilla Poker, who noticed that he had a low tolerance for risk and used that knowledge to shot take higher stakes very conservatively, often needing a very big win rate and a big bankroll before shooting the next level. On the flip side, you have high stakes newcomer Barack Wisbrod, who was able to use his high tolerance for risk to shot take for the ranks very aggressively. These examples highlight the importance of knowing yourself so you can create your own path in poker. So how can you apply self-awareness to your poker journey? One of the best ways to do this is to start with the end in mind. Where do you want to get to in your poker career? You can then see if this aligns with your values by asking, what are the things that are most important to you? Is it achievement, money, growth, or freedom? You might notice that you said you want to get to high stakes because it sounded good, but in reality, you really want to create freedom, which you can do many different ways. Next, you can start to look at what your strengths are and what you enjoy. Maybe you enjoy playing tough players like Victor, in which case aiming for high stakes could be a good goal. Or maybe your strength is reading recreational players, in which case finding soft lineups could be a better fit for you. Finally, you can look at where you are now and whether you are willing to do what it takes to achieve the things you say you want. It's all well and good saying you want to play high stakes, but what does that actually involve? Do you see yourself studying solvers hours every day, obsessing over small ways to get an edge? Can you tolerate high risk? And can you see yourself being able to handle swinging 5 figures, 6 figures in a single session? If the answer is yes, then awesome, you're on the right path. If the answer is no, then you need to start over in asking yourself again, what do you really want? Self-awareness doesn't just happen in one go. It's a consistent process of observing and reflecting on your choices and behaviors. Over time, you start to strengthen that connection with yourself and you start to feel like you're on the right path. If you're already on that path, keep going. If you're not yet on that path, keep looking. Number 2, obsessive drive to get better. Now this one is somewhat self-explanatory, but it's so important. The best players treat every day and every moment as an opportunity to get better. They are constantly learning and looking for ways to improve in all areas of their life. If you want to reach high stakes, you need to obsess every day over how to get better. The current version of you isn't good enough yet, but if you follow the lead of the world's best players, you can develop the skills and attributes that are needed to succeed. The first example I want to use of this is Fedor Halls. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Fedor. He's one of the biggest live tournament winners ever, as well as being a 2-time online player of the year. One of his secrets to success that he shared with us on the podcast was that he's learned to channel his curiosity into improvement. He doesn't make himself study. He follows what he's interested in and looks for edges in places where others don't. For him, it feels like play, not work. Then you have online player Sunny92, who was able to go from 50 NL to 5K NL in just 2.5 years. The quickest riser of any of the guests we've had on the Mechanics of Poker podcast. What he shared with us was incredibly powerful. He told us that he's made his life into a game of getting better. His goal is to become the best player he can possibly be, and everything is seen through that lens. As a result, he's constantly reflecting on his performance and looking for how to improve. Whether he knows a leak in his mental game or a gap in his strategic knowledge, he's always on the lookout for things he can do better. Then you have online MTT end boss European, who told us that his edge comes from having 120% focus and always looking for those small extra details. Even after being at the top of the game for 10 years, he's still on the lookout for small areas of improvements that will give him a bigger edge. So how can you apply this to your life? This is one of the hardest skills to cultivate, as you have to want to get better. A lot of the best players naturally obsess over the small details, as this is what gives them enjoyment. However, you can learn to tap into this same drive by channeling your curiosity. In the same way Fedor does, you can learn to use your natural curiosity and channel that into improving and getting better. Ask yourself, what is sparking your interest right now? And what things do you enjoy learning and going deeper on? From there, you need to put some regular time aside to allow yourself to do some deep studying. Blocking out an hour per day or some longer blocks a few days per week is crucial. This is what is known as deep work, when you have no distractions and you're fully immersed on a singular topic. Then you also need to incorporate regular reflecting and looking for ways to improve. A daily practice you can use each evening is to ask yourself the following 3 questions. What did I do well today? What things caused me challenges today? What improvements can I make going forward? These questions open up a powerful feedback loop to your days, giving you time to reflect and look for ways you can do things better. Number 3, positive perspective and reframing. When you speak to the best players, you notice that they have very good perspective skills compared to lower stakes players. Perspective is the ability to see events and situations from a different viewpoint. Then reframing allows you to consciously alter the way you see a situation, often looking for a positive angle or an opportunity for growth. This is important as poker is going to give you a lot of challenging situations to deal with. You are going to go on long downswings and start questioning when you're going to win again. Poker is going to feel very unfair at times as you get crushed by worse players. How you deal with these challenges is crucial to your long-term progress. One of the best examples I've seen of this skill is from high-stakes cash game player Dud1. He told us a story about when he was on a brutal downswing and he'd lost a big part of his bankroll. He didn't know when things were going to turn around or if he was going to be able to claw himself out of the hole. But he kept using a powerful reframe to keep him focused on moving forward. He said to himself, "This story's not over yet." I love that. He's reminding himself he's still in the game. It's not over yet, and he can still turn this around. Then there is 2021 Online Player of the Year, Bego, who learned this very powerful lesson from his swimming coach. After a very disappointing race where he didn't achieve his goal, his coach told him, as long as you put the effort in, nothing is lost. Either you get rewarded for it, or you learn a valuable lesson. This stuck with him and has allowed him to reframe downswings as opportunities to learn from. So how can you apply perspective and reframing to your life? The first thing is to understand that nothing is ever as it seems. You are always viewing life through the lens of your perspective. The second thing to understand is that life is always neutral. It's our mind that chooses to label things as either good or bad. With this in mind, you can start to ask yourself powerful questions that could alter your perspective in a positive way. For example, to get yourself to zoom out and look more broadly at a situation, you can ask yourself, what's the bigger picture? This is particularly useful on a downswing when you're often zoomed in on your short-term results. If you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, you will often see that your long-term results aren't nearly as bad. Another question you can ask is, what is the positive I can take from this situation? Even when life gets really tough, there's often a very valuable lesson you can learn from it. Maybe it's strengthen your character. Maybe you'll learn how to deal with losses. Maybe you'll learn to deal with your emotions that are coming up in this moment. When you realize that no situation is as it immediately seems and that there's always a positive you can take from it, everything changes. Number 4, resilience and dealing with setbacks. The best players are very resilient. Resilience is the capacity to withstand, recover from, and adapt to adversity. Resilience is not just about surviving tough times, it's about thriving and growing stronger from the challenges you face. This is important as a poker player as you're going to encounter a lot of setbacks. Whether you get crushed when you're shot taking a higher stake or you find yourself on a 3-month-long downswing. Poker is going to put you through some tough times that you're going to need resilience to get yourself through. Speaking with Matt Marinelli, who was the biggest winner on Ignition Poker, he told us the story of when he was shot taking 2KNL for the first time and he lost $52,000. This went on for many months and he had a lot of self-doubt and fears of failure around this time. But it also shaped his character and he proved to himself he could keep going when things got tough. He told us that the biggest lesson he learned in his whole poker career was the importance of perseverance. To keep putting in the effort even when progress is slow or non-existent. Then you have the biggest winner in the history of live tournament poker, Bryn Kenny. Although his story ended well, it wasn't always that way, and he found himself over $1 million in makeup multiple times in his career. Instead of giving up, he developed his resilience, which he described as the ability to dig yourself out of a hole, to hold onto the roller coaster when things go bad. He said he backs himself to learn from adversity and come back again stronger. So how do you build resilience into your life? Well, fortunately, you don't need to wait until you're $1 million in the hole to start working on your resilience. You can take on regular challenges that push you out of your comfort zone and build your resilience muscle. One of the best ways to do this is to incorporate what I call a daily strain challenge. Inspired by my whip tracker, which gives me a daily strain score to show how hard I've worked, I teach my poker athletes to take on one challenge every day that pushes them out of their comfort zone. A question to ask is, what will I do today that is challenging or uncomfortable? This could be taking a cold shower, going to the gym, or meditating for 10 minutes. When you do hard things often, you prove to yourself that you can handle adversity. You can also take on a monthly stretch and yet a shadow challenge that pushes you even further out of your comfort zone to develop more resilience. Number 5, optimizing your preparation. The best players don't leave anything to chance. They prepare themselves to be able to perform at their best consistently. They treat poker like an athlete and they optimize their days for peak performance. This is important as you want to feel energized and able to play your best poker consistently. If you want to get an edge in the competition before you even sit down to play, this is how. A great example of someone who prepares like an athlete is online MTT legend Patrick Leonard, better known as Pads. When he has an important online series coming up, like a W Coup or a Scoop, he spends 30 days in the lab fine-tuning his strategy. Then the week before, he simulates what the series is going to be like, which for him is playing 24 to 30 tables, and he practices getting reps with that setup. Finally, it's about peak performance, where he optimizes his schedule so that he's able to play his best poker at 2 a.m. in the morning. He eats the same food every day at the exact same time, he sleeps 8 hours every night, and he has an exact 90-minute cool down, which he follows religiously, win or lose. All of this to set himself up to play consistently over a grueling 20 days, where he's often trying to win leaderboard challenges and win the play of the series. Then there is 2023 World Series of Poker main event champion Esben, who told us the importance of optimizing his days so that he feels good. For him, this involves time outdoors, exercising daily, and eating a healthy diet. Fago, who I spoke about earlier, likes to follow the same daily practices that make him feel like he's winning. Even if he has a big losing day, if he did the things that were on his schedule that he said he was going to do, he chalks that up as a win. So how can you optimize your preparation? The key thing here is to find what works for you and to do it consistently. For most people, there are only a handful of things you need to do on a daily basis to feel at your best. So ask yourself, what are the 3 to 5 things I can do every day to ensure I perform at my best? This could be getting 8 hours of sleep, a daily meditation habit, going to the gym, or a study habit. Find what works for you. Turn your behaviors into habits and be consistent with them. Now, there's one really important skill that I haven't mentioned, which I want to add as a bonus, which is building your network. When you speak to a lot of high stakes players, you notice a common trend. They all have a good network of players around them who they study with and learn from. Whether it's Pads, European, and the BitBig team, Yuri Peleg, Dud1, and Gorilla Poker, or Fado, Gusko, and the German crew. The best players often find other great players to learn from. This doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen by chance. They are on the lookout for each other, and over time, they find each other. If you don't have a network right now, that's okay. But try asking yourself, who is on the same journey as me, who I would love to learn from? And how could I be a person of value to them and other players I look up to? It's one thing to know who you want to have in your network. It's another thing to be a person of value so that you can create a win-win partnership with them. Even if you're playing 100 NL, you can still have skills and insights that could be very valuable to a 1K regular. If you don't think you bring value to those players at this stage in your journey, that's also okay. You can build a network by paying for coaches and mentors to help guide you on your path. There's an African proverb that captures the importance of having a good network. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. All right, so let's summarize the top 5 performance habits that you can learn from high stakes poker players. Number 1, self-awareness and creating your own path. Number 2, obsessive drive to get better. Number 3, positive perspective and reframing. Number 4, resilience and dealing with setbacks. Number 5, optimizing your preparation. Bonus, build your network. All of these skills can be developed, so get to work. If you want to watch the full podcast episodes with the guests I've mentioned in this video, I'll put the links for you in the description.